You guys didn't hit the likes quota last week, so you don't get a shirt and tie. Let's get into this. What's going on, everyone? Seth Miranda here. This is Adorama Rewind, and there is a lot of stuff to get into today, so let's just get right into it, starting off with the Sony Alpha 9. The A9 is discontinued, or so it seems. Sony hasn't said it specifically, but if you go and look for a new one, it pretty much comes up discontinued. You can even see it on the Adorama site right here. Item is no longer available. This is not surprising. The A9 has been around for quite a while, and the A9 II has come recently. So the only real difference, I mean, the major difference is the network connectivity of the A9 II, but it's very similar parts, similar all that stuff. And the A9 was announced back in mid-2017 and was fulfilling orders towards the end of 2017. And it's had a long life in the era that we're in. But if you are someone that's wondering about your support, you might want to check out your warranty information, stuff like that, just in case, depending on when you bought one, if it was new or something like that, because that's what really gets affected by discontinued. And this is kind of good because Sony has a tendency to hang on to every model they ever put out there, the most notable being the A7R II, which has been replaced by the A7R III and A7R IV. I think this is coming from the chip shortage mainly, right? They can't build everything they want to build. They can't get all the parts. They have to allocate resources to where it is most optimal, meaning the A9 II or even the Alpha 1 that they're fulfilling orders on right now, which was just announced this year, which is a flagship camera and has been featured at the Olympics. So I think this is just Sony getting a bit more on their feet and going, okay, what can we do to make everything we need right now? And what can we do to satisfy orders we have to fulfill right now? And letting go of a camera from 2017 seems pretty reasonable to me. All you macro shooters, there is a new release from Godox. It is the Macro Flash MF12. So it is a system that you actually build out around the lens. This isn't new. In fact, Nikon had the R1 system back in 2001. You can see it here on a D300, that's how old it was. And you could build it out. But if you're looking for an updated version of it, you have the Godox version. So you can get up to 6 heads onto the ring around your flash. This is really good for macro shooters, but other things as well. So when you have something macro, which is tabletop usually and very close, you have a couple of issues that you deal with. One, projection of shadows, creating some sort of sundial effect if you don't want that, if you're looking for something very referential. In fact, I was getting into the Nikon R1 flash back when I was trying to be a forensics photographer, believe it or not, forever ago. Long story. Anyway, you know, just pointing the camera down and not having to worry about getting misrepresentation of imaging or whatever you're shooting, or subject matter rather, because of some kind of shadow confliction or whatever. The other reason is when you are shooting macro, unless it's a giant light source behind you, you are physically blocking the light. So having your strobe at the point of lens really helps out with any issue with that. And the other thing is, because you're so close, usually if you have a shoe mounted flash here, you're not going to see it illuminate your subject because you're so close, it's firing up here rather than here where you're shooting. So that's usually what a flash designed like this, mainly like a ring flash, right? But this also gives you control to maybe take down the power on the left side and keep your ratio where you want it to get more dimension if you want it, things like that. Also, this is really good for on-camera fill light. So when we do fill in a studio, a lot of times we try to have our fill light at lens on axis. So if you're doing something like, I want to say like swimwear or something that gets specular highlights or something like that, and you're shooting in the sun, you want to have a fill light that doesn't disrupt the shadow patterns that you're already getting, but just opens up that density. I did a whole demo on fill light. I just put it on my own channel if you guys want to go check that out. But you will always have an on-axis fill on your camera, which is great no matter where you are, wherever you're pointing. You have to drag a light next to or something like that. The other thing is it will give you that specular kick if you want to do something that looks glistening or something that has a kick to it, like jewelry or something, or something you just want to show a little bit of reflection. You could even dial this all the way down and just get a little bit of that kick, a little glint, if you will. I'm going kind of crazy on this, but the one thing I will warn you about is when you have speed lights or flashes in general with these types of tubes that are this small, they tend to shoot colder, meaning bluer. So that might cause your shadows to look a little colder. Not to worry though, they do have gel kits for it. so they fit pretty easily. You know, the exact size if you want to just do a quick warming gel to it, like maybe a quarter or something like that. And if you really want to get crazy, and last time I mentioned this on my Twitch channel, they sold out, but Rosco has always sold these sampler filters that fit these size strobes. So it's kind of like, yeah, you get a sample of all their gels, but you also get every gel color for this flash. And even if you just have like a normal regular size speed light, these will most likely fit. So you might want to check that out. They do have the 3" by 6" size rectangle if you want something a little bigger, but just so you know that this is available, just a little quick tip from me. I mean, I have them right here. I've had them forever. I've had a lot of these books that I've torn apart and just kept all the, but look at how many gels. Look at all the colors and all the gels you get that could fit on strobes like this. So if you are a speedlight shooter, take that tip to the bank. I hope they don't completely sell out like they did last time I mentioned that. That's kind of crazy. However, let's talk about this strobe. I'm totally digressing. For a 2-light kit, it is about 250 bucks. If you want to add all the lights, you're looking at kind of around 800 bucks to get 6 lights around your lens. Think of it this way, that's still cheaper than a lot of ring lights out there, and you get more control, and I mean, it's just kind of cool to have this much flexibility in a system like this, especially if you're a macro shooter or something like that. So if you are a macro shooter, let me know down below if this does interest you, because we haven't seen this design in quite a while. Like I said, the Nikon R1 was back in 2001. So it's been, what, 20 years? So if you're looking for an updated version, here you go. Speaking of strobes, Elinchrom. Yeah, Elinchrom. They totally put out a light. It's called the Elinchrom One. Boop. And it's kind of unique, actually. It's really interesting. It is a small light. It does fit in like the palm of your hand, I guess you could say, like that. Similar to the style of the B10, including the fact that it has the ability to take pro photo mount modifiers. That's kind of like the big thing. It's like Elinchrom allowing you to use some other brands' light modifiers on there, not by an adapter, but natively almost, basically. The weird thing about it is it's 131 watt seconds, as you see here. A 2-light kit, they're calling 262 watt seconds. Normally we hear them in round numbers, right? Like 200 watt seconds, 250 watt seconds, 500 watt seconds, you know, things like that. And this is attributed to, I don't want to say it like this, but I think Ab put it the best, that Elinchrom is just a super honest company, and they probably went for something around this range and ended up with the number of 131. So they're not saying, oh, it's 130 watt seconds. They're not trying to say, oh, it's 140 watt seconds when you stand on 1 foot and the temperature is like 30 degrees lower than, like, they're not saying that. They're saying it's 131 watt seconds. Take it for what it is. Elinchrom has really nice, clean light, very good color out of their strobes. They've, in the past, been known for flash duration. This one in particular, in action mode, will get to a 7,000th of a second flash duration. I'm guessing with the power pretty dialed down. But for a really small light, that's pretty cool. And the kit looks pretty clean. So if you're into Elinchrom, if you're in the Elinchrom system, you might want to take a look at this. If you're looking for small light units that are pretty reliable, which is Elinchrom is a reliable company, check them out. You know, it's Mac Group, so Elinchrom's been around for a very long time, and it's kind of cool to see them, you know, dust themselves off and start putting some things out there. We saw their ELC and the ELBs and other things. Some of you might have come up in this industry using their D lights. I remember those, super cost effective. I know Daniel Norton was recently using them a couple of years ago for a job. It's a good company, and if you haven't heard of them, because I feel like everything is now Flashpoint, Godox, or Pro Photo, it's another alternative. So check those out. Another cool release, which I'm actually pretty excited about because it actually affects me, is TTArtisan releases the $215, very affordable, 11mm f2.8 for the Fujifilm GFX system. This is the medium format system. So an 11mm is kind of like an 8mm lens for a medium format system that can get up to 100 megapixels, which is basically what I'm rocking nowadays. Why, yes, this is a 100 megapixel medium format camera. Thank you for noticing. I'm officially in the system. I'm really psyched on it. I love the image quality coming out of this camera, and it's really cool to see affordable glass, which I'm finding I'm trying to grow glass collection for this pretty quickly. And, you know, it's a few grand here or there for native lenses. A manual focus 11mm 2.8 lens for 215 bucks is like a no-brainer. I've spent more on filters for systems like this. So if you're into doing landscapes or some wild look to, I mean, you can see that it's a stretched out, you know, it's not rectilinear. It's got some flex around the frame, but you could do some really cool stuff. High detail in medium format. I think it's a pretty interesting release, and I'm super psyched to get my hands on one. I wouldn't do stuff like this where I would see horizon lines bending like crazy, but I mean, you could easily get away with it in live event formats, stuff like that, and things like this, which are kind of abstracting everyday life. I'm super psyched for it. If you're in the GFX system, let me know if this interests you. I'm kind of curious, especially since the G mount doesn't seem to have like a huge selection for it, because it is kind of a niche system, but it is an awesome system. And speaking of which, if you're curious about the image quality of the Fujifilm GFX system, Sesay, the guy I just talked about with the Elinchrom thing, he does retouching every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time on our Twitch channel. So you can actually pixel peep with him live. Check this out. When he goes live, he has a chat room full of people. He answers every question, and you can see him zoom in and show you every bit of detail that he gets out of this, how he goes about commercial retouching and everything else like that. To see the color tones. And if you have any questions, again, he's right there and he loves questions. I've seen this guy go like almost an hour over his slotted time just to finish all the questions. So check that out. It's an untapped resource, I feel. Normally, I go live 11 a.m. Eastern time on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/AdoramaXP. And then you got Sesay at night, 7 p.m. Eastern, doing retouching. I've been flaking on the channel because there's been construction going on in the Adorama Streamlab, but I will be returning back to that and IG Live. So also let me know down below if there's any topics you would like me to go into live on Adorama's Instagram. Again, I'm digressing. I wanted to talk about this because it kind of spilled all over the blogs and every YouTube channel, and I'm just gonna touch on it, but I'm not really gonna get into it. The Z9 from Nikon, the specs have leaked, and I'm saying hardcore quotes because it's from rumor sites, and these specs seem ridiculously amazing, and that's all well and good, and I hope that it lives up to something like this, but I just want to say there's nothing confirmed until a brand confirms it themselves. We have seen prototypes in the field at the Olympics. We don't know if those are finished models. We don't know if there's multiple models. There's plenty of times that brands put out different resolution sensors in the same body and just put them out there in the wild and see what comes back and how they performed. And then they go and rip through the camera and check out the diagnostics. So I'm not even sure about the 46 megapixel. For me personally, I'm sure it's more likely than not, but there has been instances where that's been wrong. And I'm just telling you guys, take it with a grain of salt. Rumor sites basically go around and go, oh, that's something that'll get me clicks. Oh, that's something I want to hear, so I'll report it. And you know, they're very biased to whatever brand that they're reporting on, so they lean into like crazy specs. And as long as they call it a rumor, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. So just be wary of that. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but if the stuff that's being listed in the Z9 is true, it's pretty awesome, and it's nice to see Nikon taking the gloves off for a little bit with the mirrorless system. Maybe they're having like a D850 moment here or a D4 moment here. You know, it's pretty interesting. But what I will say about the Z9 is that whatever is in this camera will set the tone, not only for the next generation of the Z cameras, like a Z7 III or whatever, or some other cameras that come down the line, just like we've seen flagship technology trickle down from like the D5 into the D850 and the D500 getting the autofocus system and stuff like that. This will also set the tone for future firmware for the current system. So anyone that's telling you that the Z9 doesn't affect what you already own from Nikon, it's just not true. We've seen plenty of times that flagship cameras have somehow been a focus of all the resources, and then their features, if the cameras can handle it, which I think the Z6 II and Z7 II would be able to with dual processors, you may not get all those features. Absolutely not, of course not. But you will see a trickle down of features hitting the lower models that are current, that are already out there in the wild in firmware. I mean, the Z6 One was well into version 3 point whatever. They're on version like 1 point whatever in the Z6 II, Z7 II. So this does affect you as a Nikon user, whatever is in there. And again, if this sets the tone, if it's this awesome and it sets the tone for the next generation of Z series, it's very exciting for Nikon users and the industry as a whole, with all the competition and brands just pushing each other a little bit. Just, you know, be careful with the rumors, please. And, you know, yeah, whatever. Speaking of the Olympics, they were testing out the Z9. Don't forget to check out Adorama's 42 West blog. They actually have a really cool article here, what I learned while photographing at the Olympics. So you get to hear from an actual professional who works at the Olympics about what gear they pack and how they go about their workflow and stuff like that. You're talking about Jamie Squire here. He's got a nice record over here if you want to check it out. But go ahead and hit the link down below. Take a look at this. I think it's a really cool article, and I feel like 42 West, Adorama's blog, is like a sleeper in this industry. You always hear about Petapixel and DIY and all this stuff, and go check it out. You'd be surprised what you find there, and a lot of that stuff is more tutorial than anything to keep you guys a little more informed on how to do things. So it's giving you guys some power back in your hands and sharpening up some skills and maybe some things you didn't know about from reputable sources like the professionals that are in this industry. Speaking of resources and professionals in the industry, Adorama's got some events coming back. So one of the big ones is an actual in-person event with some great wedding photographers. Vanessa Joy, Jesse Rinka, I think Rob Hall is part of this. Yeah, you can see all this. Keisha Lampert, Kristen Rockhill is the stylist on this. Charmy, cool, very cool, Charmy Pena. So if you're in New York, you might want to check out this link. It is Wednesday, October 25th, 10 to 5. This is a full event in Long Island City. They have a gorgeous venue, really, really beautiful venue, and a bunch of stations going on. I keep on highlighting the entire thing like a jerk. A bunch of stations going on, so you can learn various aspects of the wedding shooting workflow or things that you might need to get into to open up your game. If you're a wedding photographer and you want to step up offering more things while you're shooting or sharpen up things that you already give to client. And remember, the more you give your client, the more you're able to deliver. Quickly those rates start clicking up, and weddings are coming back hard. I think ever since lockdown lifted, it's been nuts for wedding photographers, and I know there's some of you in this audience, so let me know down below what's been going on with you guys. It's really important that we all know what's happening as an industry as well, for working professionals, freelancers, people who own businesses like wedding photographers. So please let me know down below how you're going about things. Let me know where you're located in this world. I'm super curious, and I think it's really important that we stay up on that kind of stuff. On top of the wedding workshop next week at Adorama, or rather this week because it's Sunday when I release these, it's Sony week. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. If you didn't know, Adorama's on Eventbrite, and there's stuff popping up left and right, from virtual events to in-person events. And there's a Sony Open Shoot at Adorama. You guys can try out the A7R4A and the A7R3A, which is the ones that have the newer screens and USB ports and stuff. We're gonna give you guys a nice macro setup to check out and free sensor cleanings, but it's first come, first served. There's only so many they can get through. So please check in on that, as well as the wedding workshop I just talked about, but which isn't a Sony event, but the rest of the Sony events are low light photo walk with David Krugman at the Museum of Illusions. The Museum of Illusions is pretty rad. You got a lot of cool things to play with. I mean, you got all these weird rooms, super Instagrammy, guys. You guys look at all the likes, all the likes. These are events that cost money, but they are also not bank breaking it by any means. We're talking about 20 bucks, and you'll have a bunch of resources at your disposal, including Sony themselves, cameras, lenses, and professionals right there with you. You have an architecture photo walk with Chrisabeth in the Financial District, which is gorgeous. Of course, the Oculus, that's famous right now. Sony Street Photography Photo Walk in the Village with Monaris, who does absolutely beautiful street photography here in New York. If you haven't seen her work, please check it out. The links for all this is going to be down below. So if you are on Eventbrite, do yourself a favor. When you go to one of these events and you scroll through, go ahead and click follow right here. And every time Adorama posts an event, you'll probably get notified, if not emailed, and you can jump on it. So listen, in-person events are hot right now. We don't know where the world is going, but they are filling up fast with the RSVPs. So do yourself a favor and jump on it when you see it. It's all happening this week, so be sure to check in and check out. And there'll be more stuff coming as things get solidified. I can tell you there's a lot of stuff in the works right now, so keep an eye on it for sure. And if you're not able to go in person, if you're not here in New York, don't worry about it. Check out adorama.com/42live. If you didn't understand what that is, 42 is the address of the Adorama store. So 42 West 18th Street, adorama.com/42live. There's always something listed here for a virtual event from the brands, and if you missed it virtually live, you can always replay it. Like this is one from Matterport, which is a really cool system for doing 3D layouts of areas, like for real estate or like virtual tours. This is the camera that will let you do it, and super easy, and they give you a nice walkthrough of it. They've done plenty of other events, like Light Panels did a really great event with Nick Davis and some other things, so be sure to check out adorama.com/42live for virtual events. Free, guys, legit free, and it's just awesome that they're able to do this. Also free, don't forget about the rest of Adorama's platforms on twitch.tv/AdoramaXP. We had the one and only Bob Wulff from Wulff Den, who has a huge channel. Oh, let me mute that. Has a huge channel for gaming and Nintendo in general. He shows you how he goes about filming his videos. So right now, this is him filming one of his videos on our channel. So you're watching the making of his video on our channel live. You can ask him questions. He was very gracious to answer anything. He had nothing to hide. You saw all the bloopers, the things that didn't work, his thought process, which is super important. So even if you're not a photographer, if you're just out there as a content creator and you're trying to get a channel off the ground, insight like this is super invaluable, and it's really great that creators like him are so generous to allow us to know their process and what they're doing. Like there's no, this is mine, not yours. Check it out, Adorama XP on Twitch, okay? I know I keep harping on that, but it is a resource that you guys are sleeping on. I can't even tell you. Keeping in mind that we also have things like Daniel Norton doing Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, if you're a D&D fan and you're not jumping on that, and if you're an Adorama fan and a D&D fan, you're not on Adorama's Dungeons and Dragons, I don't know what to tell you. We also have a Guilty Gear Strive tournament coming up for September 5th. We can go check it out right over here. So this is we always do this every 2 months. We do a fighting tournament to raise money for a charity. So this one is for BCRF, Breast Cancer Research Foundation, September 5th. You can just hang out and donate if you want to help out a cause. You can sign up to play, and there's amazing prizes as always. I can't believe the stuff that they get usually. So far, there's been like a laptop giveaway in almost every single one of these, if not more. In fact, we've gotten emails shocked at the prizes that we get, and mainly it's because the brands are behind it. This one is for Intel Gamer Days, so Intel is getting some support in on this, and you know it's going to be big prizes if it's Intel. So if you're a Guilty Gear Strive player, if you are wanting to flex, if you want to hold it down, jump in on this competition. If you're not, come and hang out, join the chat. It's super fun. Learn about it if you're curious about it. The commentators are very generous there as well, with kind of schooling you on what every game is about and the mechanics and things like that, as well as we just raise a bunch of money for a bunch of cool things. So that's super awesome. Don't forget about the rest of the stuff here on Adorama TV. Gavin Hoey did one that's kind of out of the box a little bit for him. It wasn't really so much a lighting demo as it was about working with your first model. So he talks about how to find a model and remember the essentials, starting with simple lighting, and what to do when you get stuck and you're not sure what to do, where to go with the shot. This is one of those ones that is the weird gap knowledge that I think people are missing out there. And Gavin Hoey is the man. He's worked with so many models, and he's like the home photographer. I love the amazing creativity that comes out of the small space that he works in. And of course, we got Lindsay Adler doing water effects, super DIY, super low cost, easy to do it. Yeah, she's using pro gear, but you can do this with whatever. And she just gives you the basic principles of it, and you might need a friend at most. So if you're a little lonely, I don't know what to tell you. But she did get some pretty cool results, and it's pretty fun to see what she comes up with. And she's a well-known educator in this industry. Okay, so that's going to do it for that stuff. Let's talk about the shout out of the week. This one goes out to someone who has been super active in the Adorama Discord. In fact, he is like the mayor of the Pentax room, holding it down for all you Pentax shooters. Yep, let's talk about my man Ken Nilsen right here. So go check him out. Really, I mean, I love the color that comes out of Pentax. I got to tell you, he does some really nice shots here, stuff that he finds around his life, and I think he's worth taking a look at. And like I said, he's the man when it comes to the Pentax channel. I mean, you can see here, he's just constantly submitting stuff in the Pentax room. So if you're not part of that, check out the Adorama Discord. I feel like some of you guys have just joined, and you're welcome to start conversations, ask questions. A very supportive group out there. And I think it's one of these forums that it's a safe space. If you're a beginner, all the questions. If you're an expert, all the knowledge to share, and debates can happen in there. You know, you can talk about your point of view on things. It's just a really great forum for photo nerds, gamers, video people, audio people, and it's nice conduit to our Twitch channel. So if you're into any of our Twitch hosts, they have a chat room in there, so you guys can talk to them there. And I'm gonna work on some special events, maybe in there, like an Ask Me Anything type Reddit type thing, but in our Discord. I don't know. There's so much stuff in the works I can't even tell you, and there's so much new product coming I can't even tell you. I'm under a billion NDAs, but really cool stuff coming, especially if you're a lighting person like I am. Really, really cool stuff coming. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. Question of the week. The Z9 kind of inspired this. What is the most ridiculous rumor you have ever heard in the photo industry? What is like these crazy features that they have promised in rumor sites that didn't come true, or that random people say in comment sections? Sometimes I think they're just trolling, but then I realize they actually believe that some of these things will do what they... This one has solve world hunger mode. Relax. This one will rotate the sensor for you. What? Like, there's just dumb things. So let me know down below in the comments, what's like the dumbest rumor you have ever heard? Please keep the malicious tone to a minimum. Don't sound condescending, but I think it's just like a fun thing we can do to talk about that. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. Don't forget to like, share this video around, hit subscribe, plus the bell to get notified when more videos like this come out. And if you're wondering why you're not seeing a lot of Adorama videos, it's because you're not engaging with them. Clicking on them to watch them sometimes isn't enough. This channel is 10 years old. It's a very old channel. So hitting like, dropping a comment, even if it's just like an emoji, will tell YouTube that you want to see more from Adorama. And there is videos dropping every day, if not twice a day. It's bananas how much content we put out there, and I'm super proud to be part of it. And we are at almost 1.1 million subscribers right here on this channel. Thank you guys so much. I tell you what, I'll bring back the likes quota. If you guys can hit 669 likes, because Polaroid 69 was one of the best films ever, I will bring back the shirt and tie. If you guys want me to dress up, I'll do that. But for now, my name is Seth Miranda, last ex-witness on all social. Yell at me on Twitter, check out my work on Instagram, join me live on Twitch, or check out my own YouTube channel. Till then, I'll see you next time. Later.